On the list of frequently asked questions, the subject of watering bonsai is perhaps the most common and important of all. Watering is a very difficult skill to master and an even more difficult technique to teach, which is why we haven't, until now, broached the subject on the Bonsai Art of Japan. Before we begin, please keep in mind that the frequency of watering will vary from climate to climate and day to day, and is dependent on the soil medium one uses. Here at kouka-en, we use a highly free-draining mix of akadama, pumice, and lava rock in various ratios depending on species. The techniques discussed here are a general guideline to watering bonsai, but caution should be taken to adjust your own approach accordingly. Each species is different, each individual tree is different, and the weather from day to day is different, which makes proper watering very difficult to learn. In order to water properly, one has to be willing to adjust on a daily basis. For most people who work full-time, though, this is rather difficult. We often tell clients to water their personal collections fully each morning during the growing season, and spot check in the evening, watering dry trees again as needed. Here at kouka-en, though, we keep a watchful eye on the bonsai at all times and check water on a much more frequent basis. Now that summer's getting ready to start and the temperatures are beginning to heat up here at the nursery, we have to be more aware of and sensitive to the changes in our watering practices. So the trees at this point, they've fully leafed out, the leaves have hardened off, so they're taking up a little bit less water than they were in the early spring. We have to make sure that we're watching each tree individually to ensure that the trees aren't drying out too much and that they're also not getting too much water either. Here at kouka-en, we check the trees about 4 times every day once the summer season rolls around. So we come in early in the morning, usually around 8:30, 9 o'clock. We'll walk around the nursery with the watering can, we'll spot check, and we'll water the driest trees in the nursery. Then we'll come back around 10:30 or so, water pretty much every tree in the nursery at that point, with the exception of trees that are very, very, very wet. After lunch, we'll check one more time with the watering can, spot checking trees that are very dry. And again, later in the afternoon, usually around 3:30, 4 o'clock, we'll check one more time with the hose and heavily water any trees that are in need.
Here in kouka-en we have a setup which consists on several hoses along different aisles. The way we do it is we follow a path on each aisle, always watering the trees on our left. And we use this device and just attach it to the hose. Also, the pressure is very important. If it is too little, we will take a long time to water. If it is too strong, it will wash the soil out of the pots.
Adjust the pressure and make sure to let the hottest water escape from the hose before watering your bonsai. When watering, hold the nozzle firmly, but allow your wrist to be loose enough to fluidly water the whole soil surface smoothly and evenly, aiming for the base of the trunk and trying to keep as much water flowing into the pot as possible. Be sure to water all of the soil surface, front, back, and all sides. For trees with surface soil that is loose, pull the nozzle back and try to keep the soil from washing away. It is certainly okay to go back and forth between trees several times to make sure they are each thoroughly watered. It may also be necessary to bend down to see the soil surface.
Here at kouka-en, when we don't have a lot of trees to water and there are just a few dry trees, we usually water with the joro, which is this device here. When we soak it like this, and we start watering the trees. It gets empty, we can always refill and walk around the nursery. It's very convenient to do.
Again, make sure to check each individual tree and water only those that are in need. Be sure to water the entire soil surface as well.
We always have to pay attention so that the water here is very clean. so there's no bacteria and no small animals and no mosquito larvae in there. As you can see, this one here is already very dirty, so we need to change the water on that one, which is usually my job because I'm the bottom apprentice here, and that's how you do it. And you start cleaning.
For exceptionally dry trees, these water basins can be used to submerge bonsai in need. While techniques for watering may be difficult to communicate, teach, and learn, they are the most essential element to keeping your bonsai alive and healthy and to promote proper growth and development. Some species require more water than others, some like to remain exceptionally dry, and each day the watering schedule for every tree must be adjusted accordingly based on the weather and climate. As the summer rolls around, be sure to keep a close eye on your bonsai and their watering needs.